I'm from upstate.
Where?
It's like, I don't even want to say the name. It's called Horseheads.
Okay.
So it's this tiny little town. And I grew up there. My parents divorced when I was 8. So I grew up super poor, like government assistance, super broke. My mom was a single mom. My grandparents helped raise me. Bullied because I had clothes from Salvation Army. A pretty tough upbringing. After high school, I tried college for like a year. I was like, if I don't get out of here, I'm going to get pregnant or be addicted to meth. It was just like one of those towns. Mm-hmm. So I packed 2 suitcases and I moved to Reno. My grandparents lived in Reno. They took me in. I think I had a suspended license too at the time. And so they were driving me everywhere for like a year. I was there for a year. I met my ex and I was with him for 6 years. He lived in Vegas. So I moved to Vegas. And a lot of people don't know this, but I was in a super abusive relationship.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the guy that you were with for 6 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you met him at what, like 21, 20?
Yeah. Basically
okay.
21.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, super abusive. Like, I'm so lucky I got out. It was so bad. Like, he was such a piece of shit.
This show is sponsored by Open Recovery Addiction Help. Whether you're newly sober, in long-term sobriety, or even maybe looking to make a change in your life, Open Recovery offers 24/7 support right from your phone. It's anonymous and packed with tools to help you stay connected, stay accountable, and build the life you deserve. Download the Open Recovery Addiction Help app today and take the next step in your recovery journey. Are you okay with going into, was it verbally, physically?
No, it was both.
Yeah.
It was both. It was super bad. Like, he used to beat the shit out of me, like broke my nose. Like, it was super bad. And what's crazy is like people, like the few people that know, they're like, I could never imagine you in an abusive relationship. Like, you know, cause I'm like a gangster. I'm like a soft gangster. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm super sweet, but if you like screw with me, like I will cut you. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to be cute. It's not a good characteristic. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's a character defect I'm working on.
I'm working on it. But yeah, and then I went into party mode. So I got out of that relationship, thank God, and went straight to party mode. So I was in the scene. I was a bartender, blackjack dealer at the Hard Rock.
You were a blackjack dealer?
Mm-hmm. They called me the Black Widow.
Ooh.
So we were in like the party pit. So I would get all of like the high rollers. Wild. It was a really great experience, but it was so wild. Like people would be playing like $100,000 a hand. It was wild.
What was the biggest bet on one hand that you saw?
So I took $220,000 from a guy. Mm-hmm. He was on such a hot run. See, this is the thing is like people would piss themselves because they would be on a hot run and they would not want to get up to go to the bathroom. Like we had high rollers that would be eating like cereal at the table. Like, yeah, it was so wild. But yeah, 220.
I've been on a blackjack table before, and yes, you don't want to move from your seat. Keep going, next hand.
Yeah,
like holding in my pee, like not going to the bathroom. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so crazy. It was a really good experience, though.
Yeah, what was the craziest thing you saw as a blackjack dealer in the casino?
So the craziest thing I saw was like guys that would come with their wives, and then the next week they'd be with a hooker. So that was like a little bit hard for me just because like I'm a very loyal person. Mm-hmm. And so to see that, you know, they would come with like multiple, you know.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it was tough.
I mean, did you see a lot of infidelity?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, nowadays, you know what I mean? Like it's everywhere. But yeah, that exposed me to a lot of just watching these guys just cheat on their wives. And their wives are so nice. And it's like, I wanted to just be like, do you even have any idea? You know, obviously I can't.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So after the casino, what do you do next?
So I was like, I was part of this company where I would deal everywhere. Like, so multiple casinos. I was at the Tropicana. I was at the pool, the rehab show that was at the Hard Rock, a bunch of fun stuff like that. And then I got into partying pretty hard. I was doing a ton of drugs. Like you name it, I was doing it. I was really reckless. I think I was just like, okay, I'm single now, you know? And then also I was just numbing myself from all the pain from that terrible relationship and some, you know what I mean? Just like a hot disaster. And just trying to like ride that out with partying. You know what I mean? I never had an addiction, but had I kept going, I probably wouldn't be here today. Like I was just making really bad decisions.
What kind of drugs were you doing?
Pretty much everything except for pills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't doing like meth or anything, but like cocaine, ecstasy.
The whole nine. And
then I would take like Xanax to come down from it.
Yeah.
So I was cocktailing it up for sure.
What were your feelings during that time? I feel like it's constant numbing. You're like, okay, I'm single. But were you really happy during that time?
No, not at all. I mean, I was trying to just numb myself from all that pain, you know, and you just keep going with it. And if something isn't working, you just go to a different drug. You know what I mean? And so I'm so thankful that I never got addicted because, you know, with addiction, it's like really hard. It's so awful.
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful. After that, I was like, you know what? I kind of want a boyfriend. So I joined Match.com. I don't even know if Match.com is around.
I believe it's still around, but I think it's like dead.
It's like probably for really old people.
Yeah.
Because they have the swipe things now, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Hinge, Bumble, the whole, you could swipe on them. Yep.
Yeah. So got on Match.com and I met my now husband. I approached him on Match.com. Yeah, he's so fine. I mean, my husband's so hot. But I was like, oh my gosh, we went on our first date and I just remember seeing him and I'm like, this is going to be like my husband for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you knew.
I knew. I mean, I didn't tell him. Like, I'm crazy. So I swept the crazy under the rug for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kept it cool.
Kept it cool. So we had our first date. It was like amazing. He was such a gentleman. And it was so nice too. Cause like, obviously prior to that, I'm in this terrible relationship. So it was like so refreshing to like go on a date and just be treated so respectful. And like, yeah, we just hit it off.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask you this for all the men listening who are single. Were you like forcefully playing it cool, like waiting to get back to him, not getting back to him immediately?
Oh, yeah.
You play the game?
Oh, I played the game hard. Yeah. He wanted me to go to Mexico the next day.
After the first date?
Oh, yeah. Like he was a little hook, line, and sinker too. I think he fell pretty quick. And I'm like, no, you know, I don't think so. I think we should wait. I was really wanting to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played it cool. So he basically said he owned a business. I didn't really ask any questions. I don't know why, because I'm really nosy. I had figured he's got to be like an absentee owner or he's just hands off of the business. And then I found out 2 months later what he was doing.
Okay, let's go to 2 months later.
So 2 months later, and mind you, like we were spending like every night together pretty much.
After date one?
After like I think the fourth date.
Then you guys started really spending a lot of time together. Yeah. Okay, so we're at 2 months in. You guys are together all the time. You're boyfriend and girlfriend at this point.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. He took me to New York City. We came to Florida, actually. And yeah, it was just like so amazing. And then I remember getting a call from him 2 months into us dating. And he's like, hey, I've got to come talk to you. And I'm like, fuck.
He's breaking up.
He cheated on me. You know, like, I'm like, this is it.
Your heart dropped.
My heart dropped. I'm like, okay, you can't tell me now. He's like, no, I got to come. I'm like, great. So he comes over. I open my door and I see him and he's just distraught. Like he's high. Like I know he's high. Like, listen, I've been around the block. Like I know when someone's high and it's not off weed. He comes in and he sits on the couch and he tells me that the feds just raided his office along with other offices. And also that he had a pill problem.
What kind of pills was he doing? Oxys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Percocet, Oxys.
What year is this?
This is 2012.
Okay. So that is like right before like things got shut down with Oxycontin. Yeah. So he was in the heyday of it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Super heyday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this shows how like screwed up I am, but I was like so relieved that he didn't cheat on me. I'm like, oh my God, I thought you were going to say that you were cheating on me or you were breaking up with me. So that
this
just
is
goes
nothing.
to show.
We could get through the feds.
Oh, yeah.
Addiction, we got it. Yeah. Let's go.
I mean, the thing is like the type of person I am is like, I'm going to meet you wherever you're at. And I expect that in return. And that's not like I'm high and mighty. That's like, I expect people to meet me at my lowest point. I'm in a low point right now. You know what I mean? So I was just like, okay, let's do this. Like, do you need to stay here? Like, what do we do next?
Wow.
Full support. Yeah.
Do you think it was because you saw the ugly side of what a bad relationship could really look like in your prior relationship to the point where you were like, okay, this guy has good morals. Like we've spent 2 months together.
Yeah.
Like I know where his morals are at. Like you really get to know someone in 2 months.
Yeah.
And these are these are big problems, but these are things that you knew at the core he was a good guy.
Yeah. I think, it was a part of that. But like, honestly, I'm like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm really not a judgmental person. You know what I mean? And I'm so loyal when it comes to like just people and relationships. Like, even if I don't agree with something, like I'm going to ride it out with you to the end. You know what I mean? I don't care what it is. Like that person needs me in that moment. And I'm going to do whatever I have to do to make that happen and help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great quality.
Yeah. It's a really great quality.
Has that quality prior to this relationship ever hurt you in any way? Like putting trust in someone?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even with like my ex, like I stayed way too long thinking he's going to get better. He's in counseling. He's not going to do this again. And so it definitely got me into trouble for sure. But we have to remember that we can't let the world make us ugly, and we can't, like God has characteristics he's put in us and we can't allow other people to take that from us.
So he comes to you with the addiction and the feds just raided his place.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to speak on what he was doing to get raided by the feds?
Yeah. So it was him and so he used to work for, I call the main guy. So he is the one who kind of started, it's like a grant room. So it's a boiler room. You know what I mean? If you don't know what a boiler is, like Wolf of Wall Street, but like tiny, right? Yep. Like much smaller. So he was basically selling grants to business owners. So they would call, they would make a business plan, which they would actually send out and make a business plan for that person, but they would never do the research and they never got anyone funded. Yeah. So even though the contract that they were sending out was like, hey, there's no guarantees, it doesn't matter. It was a scam. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And there are people who know the story based on a press release. And I feel like me coming forward, people are probably like, oh, she's going to deny what happened or, whatever. But like my husband has always owned up to this. You know what I mean? And it was a scam room. I don't there's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
So he worked for the main guy and then he ended up opening up his own thing. Yeah. So he was open for like less than a year and then he got busted. Okay. Yeah.
And what was the financial damage they were holding over his head?
So they said that his office brought in $3.5 million. And so when he got raided, they seized everything. They took, all his money, his car, everything. So he was left with zero.
Were you, I know you were only with him for 2 months at that point. Were you investigated at all? Like spending time with him or? Okay.
Yeah.
So that happens. Now, okay, dealing with the addiction first, I'm assuming, right? Because that's the most important thing. Yeah. His life is the most important thing. What does he do next?
So after that, he was really stressed. So he got super high one night. Like I thought for sure he was going to OD. Like it was really bad. I should have taken him to the hospital, but I was like, I don't want to get him in trouble, but he's like super fucked up, And I was with him that night and I was just like, listen, like I've got to get him help like ASAP. So he went to a rehab and they were giving him like Suboxone. And he was just like, it was really bad. And like my thing is like, because I've dealt with addiction like in my family, it's so sad. It's like, and people think like people want to be addicted to things. It's like this chemical dependency on your body that just like, it's awful. And seeing someone go through that, oh my God, it was so hard. He ended up kicking it in 1 month. He kicked it in 1 month. He ended up going cold turkey. He just couldn't do the Suboxone. He felt like that was making things worse. And then he was like, am I going to be addicted to this? Because him originally getting pain pills stemmed from like him doing like martial arts, jiu-jitsu,
Mhm.
screwing up his shoulder,
Mhm.
doctors giving you pain pills, and then it's like a fun party afterwards.
Yeah.
So, his doctor was like, you should be like the poster child. Like, I can't believe this.
So it is very rare what he did.
Oh, super rare.
The statistics were heavily against him.
Yeah.
And on top of it, I have experience coming off of opiate pain pills. I did the same thing he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the Suboxone thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a detox off of Suboxone.
Mm-hmm.
The Suboxone detox was worse than there's like a half-life in there. And
It's
it
crazy.
it messes you up really bad. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
And he did he stay sober and clean since to date?
So he had one relapse. I believe it was in like 2013.
Okay, so a year later.
Yeah. A year. No, I'm sorry. No, it was 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had been indicted and then he failed a drug test.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he picked back up.
Yep.
And then he's been clean since.
He's been clean since.
So 10 years.
Yeah.
Are you so proud of him?
I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud.
God.
Even after he had like the relapse, like I was pretty angry, but I was also like, okay, this could be worse. You know, there's a lot of people that relapse a lot harder, you know? But yeah, I'm so proud of him for kicking that.
As a partner, so let's say someone is listening right now who has a partner who's newly sober. What did you do to support him?
So I was a lunatic, really. I just was like his babysitter. Like I just made sure, because the thing with like addicts is you could leave for 5 minutes to go get a coffee. And if they have the urge, it's over.
Done.
It's done. You know what I mean? And so I was just a lunatic. I would just watch over him and I would just be like, listen, please tell me if you have the urge. You know what I mean? Please tell me.
Yeah.
But after getting in trouble legally, it really scared him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he was just like, I need to change. Like, I need to get back to God, because he grew up like, you know, in church. You know what I mean? He was obviously, I mean, he was just in a bad season. And when he told me about all this stuff, I was like, you know what? People can make mistakes, but you're not your mistake. You know what I mean? You're just like hanging out with the wrong people. And it's not an excuse. Like, I'm not deflecting it. He was just, you can just be in a bad season and make bad decisions. And, you know, the fingers pointed at my husband, but I tell him all the time, if I would have kept going down my road, I would have been in a worse place than you are right now, for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that addiction is a disease? Because I feel like if anyone was in your place, it doesn't matter if it's a day, 6 months, a year, you were able to stop. And, you know, people do go through phases where they're doing drugs and they're not addicts or alcoholics. Yeah. Do you believe it is a disease? And that
I do.
Clearly you don't have it, because you would have kept going.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, you know what, if I would have kept going, who knows? I do have like an addictive personality. And so I feel like if I would have kept going, for sure, I would have gotten addicted. Yeah. Yeah.
So he now is going through, you know, his trial. What happened following? So he brought it to you. When was he got raided, but when was he indicted?
So he didn't get indicted until 2015. Yeah. So 3 years.
He was just sitting there for 3 years.
It was just like, well, this whole thing has been over a decade. So we've had legal over just our heads not knowing. And when you're in federal trouble, people don't understand, like, they have you by the balls. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're on their time. And so every day waking up, not knowing and having to make future decisions. Like, we were trying to have babies. Like, you think, you know, like, am I going to be a single mom? Like my mom was. And so, just a lot. We had hired our first attorney because we went through 3 throughout this process. And he was like, hey, listen, like, they raided multiple offices. You're under investigation. Like, they're probably going to indict you on mail and wire fraud charges. We just don't know when and how. And we're like, what do you mean how? And they're like, well, sometimes like SWAT will come to your house and the news and they'll make a huge scene. Otherwise, you'll have to just like go to the FBI office in Las Vegas and surrender yourself. So what people don't know is for 3 years, my husband and I slept in our clothes Monday through Friday, excluding weekends and holidays, because we were terrified that the news and SWAT and everybody was going to show up at our house.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What did that stress do to you guys?
Oh my gosh. Like, internally, I'm probably 76 years old from stress. Like, really, if you turned me inside out, I would just be like this moldy, like, stress ball. I think you just have to like make a decision in life, right? Like, there's some things in life you just can't control, and you just have to literally give it to God. And that's exactly what we did. We're like, listen, we're going to march forward every single day. We have plans to become successful and have a family, and we can't let this, even though it's really bad, we can't have this paralyze our lives,
Was God a part of that?
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah. In 2013, my husband actually introduced me to church. Yeah.
That was your first?
I mean, I used to go to like a summer camp at like a Methodist church, but all I really remember is like making pretzels. Like I wasn't like in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2013, we started going to the church LV in Vegas, and it was just life-changing. We got baptized together. His brother got baptized as well. His brother was actually working for him as well. So it was like a family affair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like he went back to God. It was just amazing.
So I feel like that also too plays a huge part in that 1 month where he was able to get clean. And
for sure.
Turn everything around.
Yeah.
I go to meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I go to 12-step meetings, and God, faith, all of that. Like I wouldn't be where I'm at today, with over 7 years clean and sober without believing in a higher power.
Yeah.
And my higher power is God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 2:00 in the morning, my sponsor or people from my support group aren't going to be available.
Yeah.
So I need other tools.
Yep.
God is like the most crucial tool when you're going through something like that. And even as a family, you guys going through that 3-year or even just the whole process over a decade.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
Okay. So 2015, he gets indicted. Was it on mail
and
fraud?
Wire fraud charges?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets indicted. It's for his room only. 2015, mail and wire fraud charges. They allow him to surrender to the FBI Las Vegas office. I take him down there for him to get checked in and booked and everything. And so in between that time period, though, between 2012 and 2015, obviously he was pulled away from any type of work he could do. So he started like doing loans because his friend owned a bank. He was a mortgage banker before. And then I took a lash class. I was obsessed with lashes. I used to actually pull my lashes out when I was a teenager from stress. I know it's actually called something, but I always mispronounce it. And so when I found out about lash extensions, I was like, there's no way, this is so awesome. So I dumped like my last 700 on a class in Utah. It was like at a house. It was super sketch. And I did free lashes for a year. I was like, I'm so determined to do this. And then I became a mortgage banker with my husband. We were just trying to like make ends meet. We were so broke. We were literally like going to the food bank, rolling change. We shared this old beat up Jeep Cherokee for 4 years. Like we were so broke. It was bad.
But you guys stuck together through that time. And you're just waiting on him to get indicted.
Yeah, waiting on him. We actually went to Ohio in 2014. And because we just couldn't afford to be in Vegas and have our own place. So we literally drove to Ohio with our dogs in the car, and his mom ended up taking care of us. We slept on an air mattress in her house for 6 months. So we could work at the bank. And I started trying to get like lashes going there. It was not working out. We were in Ohio, and I remember Mike got a call, and it was his brother, and he was at our house. So he was in Ohio. He went out to Vegas while we were in Ohio, and he was frantic, and he goes, Mike, SWAT is at the house. The feds are at the fucking house, and they're telling me to open the door. He's like, they literally jumped the back fence. There's SWAT trucks everywhere. Like what the Mike was like, shit, they're there for me. And he's like, open the door. They're there for me. And he opened the door, and they were like, Mark Jones. They were there for his brother.
They knew he was there.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had worked for Mike. So yeah, they took him in, and on the way to the FBI office, they played a recording of someone that worked for Mike that was like pitching a dirty deal, kind of like saying like, your brother's next. Like, we've got you guys. Yeah. And so we knew it was just a matter of time before Mike got that call in 2015. He did.
So you moved back to Vegas, and in 2015, and then he gets indicted.
Yep.
He goes in. What does the process look? Oh, actually, I want to go back. Was there ever a point during that 6 months you go back to his parents' house in Ohio where you were even questioning the relationship or anything? Like, what did I get myself into?
No.
Any of this?
No. And it's funny because my husband always is like, do you feel like you married a lemon? Like, are you like, you could have totally like fled the scene. And I'm like, no, it's crazy because like I hear stories, of course, of like, you know, prison wives and stuff like that. And like how the divorce rate is just so high. And I'm like, I'm just not made to be that type of person. Like, you know what I mean? We ended up getting married in 2014, by the way. We just went through a drive-through because we were so broke.
I love it.
We got like Little Caesars afterwards. We didn't even have sex either. It was just like, it was so lame. But yeah, it was just like, whatever. But I just take my vows so serious. I take everything serious. All my relationships, like I just take everything so serious when it comes to that. And my grandparents, they were married for 65 years. Like I love that. And you'll probably never see that anymore.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but
there's so many distractions with social media.
Oh yeah.
There's just, you have access to everything at the fingertips.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And everyone's so hot. Like everyone's so attractive now. I'm like,
Right.
I didn't look like that when I was 19. What the hell?
Right.
So, but no, never crossed my mind.
So 2015, he gets indicted. You guys are now back in Vegas.
Yep.
When does he actually get sentenced?
So he didn't get sentenced until February of 2023.
What happened from 2015 to 23?
So they had basically put his case joint and several. So with all of the other offices, they put all of them together into one case because it's easier for them to prosecute one case rather than going down the line with all these offices doing the same thing. The main guy ended up fleeing the country, went to Costa Rica. So when they did joint and several, they put all the offices together and the lump sum was $12 million. So now my husband is no longer on the hook for 3.5. He's on the hook for $12 million. So 2016, he had those charges added.
Once the guy fled the country.
Mm-hmm. And they put all the other cases together.
God.
Yeah.
Were you guys ever thinking about fleeing when you were in Ohio?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I thought about it. I was like, man, maybe we can, you know.
Yeah, but
I was like, no, it just like really like, no. I mean, you think crazy things when you're under indictment or under legal, you know, you're thinking about everything.
Yeah, of course.
So, but no. Yeah, no.
So he now has $12 million in restitution and it's 2016.
Yep.
You're just kind of, he was bailed out immediately, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What was his bail?
So he didn't have like bail at all.
Really?
I was able to pick him up. He almost had to stay overnight, but he didn't have any type of bail. They just basically let him out. And he did have obvious like restrictions. He was still able to keep his job as a mortgage banker, which I found very interesting because it's like you're in trouble for like mail and wire fraud. You're going to have socials.
It's the financial space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to drug test every week. He had to check in with his pretrial. I believe every week he had to call. There was like a number he had to call to basically be like, you know, press 1 if you haven't been in trouble or whatever. And then he had to go to counseling sessions. Mm-hmm. So he actually really loved the counseling sessions. And the therapist he had is our family therapist. And she's literally like saved our lives. So I'm very thankful for that. Yeah. But he completed 244 counseling sessions.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you see him improve as a person when he was starting to go to counseling?
You know, what's crazy is like, and I'm not saying this just because like it's my husband. My husband is the nicest human being ever. Like I used to say that about my grandma, but he tops that. And that's huge. Mm-hmm. He is like, he just has this like heart. Like I don't care what he did. He is the most kind person. He's like a teddy bear. He's so giving. He's so sweet. And honestly, maybe I say this because I was in a bad relationship, but he's never called me a bad name ever. I mean, I'm sure in his head and under his breath, he's called me a bitch.
That's okay.
But never. I mean, he's so kind. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to see him where he is, I'm like...
So people listening right now are definitely going to be like, well, yeah, she thinks he's such a nice person, but he committed these crimes. Yeah. What do you think is the reasoning for him committing those crimes as such a nice person? You
know, the thing is he was in the mix of things. You know, he had moved from Ohio to Vegas. He was trying to get like rich fast. He was hanging out with, you know, bad people. He became one of them and he made a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean, he
respect
was
that.
dating strippers too, so he was really in the mix. I always bring that up to him too, because I'm psycho. But yeah, he made a mistake.
Yeah.
It's not his mistake. It happens all the time where people are making mistakes. Yeah, his was big, but that's okay. Like, it's dragged on for over a decade. Like, I'm done with being like, you know what I mean? It's over and done with.
Yeah, under the scope for so long.
For sure.
So where are you at in 2016 with the Lash business? You took the class with your last $700.
Yeah.
You took a gamble on yourself. You were doing free lashes.
Yep.
You got good at it.
Yeah.
Where were you in 2016 with the whole business?
So in 2016, we had actually opened up our first salon. So I was slinging lashes from home. I ended up getting really good. We were broke. So my marketing tactic was going on Instagram and following like hot chicks and then like liking their pictures from like a year ago. So they would be like, who's this psycho?
Yeah.
And then they would end up booking with me. So I got all my clientele from that. So I was lashing from like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Like, I was just slinging lashes. Like, our neighbors thought we had a brothel. There were so many like hot chicks rolling up.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And so I ended up stopping with like the whole mortgage thing. And my husband's like, you need to open a salon. Like, this is crazy. Like, you can't be killing yourself like this. You need to like hire one person, open a salon. I'm like, we still weren't in like we were not financially in a good place. But we ended up having this guy show us, it was like an old dental office, and we took the gamble. We didn't even have enough money to finish like furnishing it. So you would walk in and like the first 2 bedrooms or the first 2 like offices had recliners in them for the lashes. And then you move forward and like everything else was empty.
Mm-hmm.
We just put everything on credit cards. It was brutal. My first lash artist was making like $30 a week. She's still with me to this day. She became my general manager and I love her. I would have never been able to get through what we've gone through without her. She's so amazing. I just love her. Alexa, I love you if you're watching. But yeah, and then from there, we were trying to increase our profit margins. So I put in a huge order, like $1,500. It was so much money, to China to get lashes to increase our profit margins. And then I had Vegas lash artists being like, can I buy a tray? I'm out. And so we started selling supplies. And my husband was like, man, we got to YouTube this. We got to podcast this. Like, we got to show this transparency. Like, this is crazy. Like, we were at the food bank and now we're kind of making a little bit of money, you know? And so that's what really took just everything like to the next level. We were doing tutorials and we were using our supplies. So it's like, hey, watch me fulfill this. And oh, by the way, I'm using Live Bay supplies or whatever. So
how did it feel going into debt, betting on yourself?
Really scary. But I was like, you know what? We're at a low point, you know, like what could go wrong? You know, the worst I feel like had already happened. So I'm like, let's just do this. And Mike and I together, like most people, when they go through trials as a couple, they crumble. You know, they start to fight, especially when it comes to finances. Like, you throw money into the mix and being broke, like people fight. Mike and I are like yin and yang. We like come together as a team and we just conquer. Yeah.
Well, I want to also highlight, I'm going to get heat for this on my podcast, but he's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
The felon is a smart guy. No, but for real, like, you are in the weeds, you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And you need that. You need someone who's not in the day-to-day per se, but thinking long-term, thinking bigger picture, right? Open a salon. We need to start a podcast, YouTube channel to create transparency and also create awareness about what's going on.
Yeah.
That is so important. So, okay, you're selling the trades, you're selling supplies, you're doing lashes, you have employees. What happens after that? When was like your first big break?
So when we opened our first salon, I stopped lashing. Like, I was so burnt out. I was doing it for years, you know what I mean? And I was like trying to focus on the supply side of things because like I love profit margins. Like, that's that's my thing. Like, I go to Disneyland, I'm like, that's from Alibaba. Like, that's like a $25 markup, you know? And so we started to kind of get in the supply business and then focus on like the podcast, right? Because we really wanted to like create like, you know, this big brand, you know, and no one else was doing it. So we were kind of focusing on that. We started teaching classes, and I did that because I knew what it was like to take a bad class. Mm-hmm. So everything that I went through, all the struggles in the lash industry, I applied it to like, how can we make this better and help other people? And so from there, we opened multiple salons. We got a warehouse. We had like a little small warehouse, and things just kind of spiraled. It was insane. And then mind you, like we're going through the legal battle. And so back then extensions were like a year. So it's like, okay, your sentencing is not until next year. So talk about like the month before sentencing is supposed to take place. And they're like, oh, we're doing another extension. It's like, you're like resuscitated. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you even move forward? Like we started to try to have babies. We had 5 miscarriages total.
Oh my God.
And
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's brutal. But I ended up having like a blood clotting disorder, and like insurance made me have like 3 miscarriages until they would even like do the proper steps to find out.
I don't even want to get started about insurance companies.
No, me either.
3 miscarriages before they, oh my God.
I know. It was so awful.
I'm so sorry you went through that.
It was tough. And just to fight through that, you know what I mean? It was so difficult. But we ended up getting pregnant in 2016, and we had a rainbow baby, Oliviana. We call her Olive Oil. She's just like my everything. We had her in 2017, and then Baylor in 2018. That was a little quickie, but that happened quick. That happened real quick. But I'm so grateful that I was able to have kids. You know what I mean?
I see your kids on social.
Yeah,
like
they're just so amazing.
Absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them.
You guys are blessed.
So blessed.
Yeah.
So blessed. And even like in just this whole process, you know, it's like so tough because it's like, how do you move on in your life when you have just something over you so intense? And how do you make future decisions? And like, you know, how do you combat becoming successful and having restitution? And who, you know what I mean? And so we got another attorney. That was the last attorney we had. And
this is right before sentencing.
No, we had him for years. So we had him, I think we retained him in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was with us through the whole thing. My husband didn't sign his plea deal until 2018.
Okay.
And so the plea deal said something like 10 years. And we always listen to our attorney. And I'm not going to be disrespectful about our attorney because he did help us with a lot of other things. But we were going off of everything he said.
Of course.
You know, and so, and any financial decision we made, because, you know, we bought a nice house, we got a Lambo with a business name wrapped on it. It was all approved from our attorney. And now that I look back, I'm like, gosh, I can see how awful that looked, you know, owing restitution and then
you have a Lamborghini.
You have a Lamborghini. Like, what a freaking dickhead show off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But every little thing it was always approved by our attorney.
When, I'm assuming they come and take everything. What happened there?
Well, so my husband lost everything in the original raid. And so they didn't end up taking anything. Like, I sold everything, basically.
Got it.
Yeah. So after my husband went in, I'm like, I don't need 3 cars.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then also I owed a hard money loan that I ended up taking for restitution. So I had to try and figure out like my finances.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that was up against your business, the hard money loan.
It was up against everything.
Okay.
I signed my life out except for my kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the $3 million he owed.
$3 million.
Okay.
Because I mean, the thing is my husband always wanted to pay back that restitution.
Of course.
Like truly the shame he had once he got clean, realized everything. And I feel like that's why it was prolonged as well, because our attorney was in communication with the prosecuting attorney, and they knew that we were trying to pay that restitution. And so that was like a big part of the delay. And then Mike's brother passed away in 2018. So we were actually teaching a lash class. The next day I was supposed to be induced and have a C-section. And we got a call, and I just remember my husband's face was white. He's like, we have to go. He's like, you know, there's a John Doe at the hospital that they think is Mark. And I remember I was so pregnant. I was supposed to have a C-section the next day. We rushed to the hospital and he's on life support. Yeah. And so they gave him like overnight to just kind of see like what's going on, you know, like, and I just remember Mike's mom was saying like, oh no, it's not, like, he's not going to make it. Like, he's not. And so the next day we went through with the C-section. I had to have the C-section. Like, he was ready. Baylor was ready to come out. So we delivered Baylor, and then Mike left the hospital and took his brother off life support.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, like, and I feel bad too for his mom because, like, you know, Mike lost his dad when he was a teenager. So she lost her husband, and then she lost her son, you know, and they were really close. We were all so close. It was really sad.
What happened with his brother?
So after Mark got like indicted, he just kind of, I don't want to say he went over the edge because he got back to God. He was like, he was just doing so many life improvements. He got off drugs because he was on drugs too. He got a motorcycle. And I remember Mike was like, do not do that. Like, our Uncle Mark passed away on a motorcycle. Why would you do that? And he was hit. He was hit and flew off the motorcycle and instantly pretty much brain dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was he wearing a helmet?
He was.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. On a motorcycle, you could be a great driver.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone else just makes one little mistake, and then there are accidents, you know, you're in someone's blind spot.
Yeah.
They hit you, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Or you are living a life that is severely compromised, you know, like a disability, whatever it is. It's really tough.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry you guys went through that.
Yeah. It was really tough.
Okay. So Mike goes away. 2023?
2023.
What was that like?
It was awful. So we built the business up. COVID was our best years. We did 15 million in sales. And that's from like starting a business with a negative bank account.
Wow.
We flourished there was companies that went out during COVID and there were some that just flourished. We had a 20,000 square foot warehouse. So we were considered distribution so we could remain open. Before that, Mike and I were actually just shipping products from our house. We're like, we just got to do this. And so we had such a great year. Everything was just booming. Like, our business was so successful. It was just amazing. And then we got the call when we were actually in Ohio, visiting. Our attorney was like, hey, your sentencing is February. Like, we've got to get stuff done. So I hired this woman that literally traveled to like 4 different states. She made a video of like Mike's progress and like testimonies from other people, you know, for sentencing, just showing like all the good he's done. You know what I mean? Like, he never got in trouble on pretrial. He failed the 1 drug test forever ago. And then he did 244 counseling sessions. Like, you know, he's the best dad. Like, we're like a tight-knit family. We're like the Brady Bunch, you know, like I'm like mama hen. Like, I have bunk beds in my room. Like, that's how I'm just like, I need my kids, you know, like, and coming from a broken family, like, you want like that tight family. So, sentencing comes. My attorney put that video on a flash drive and dropped it on the judge's desk and also emailed it to him. It was never watched. So sentencing comes, and I remember our attorney that morning was so weird. Now, we thought we were going into it like maybe a year and a day. We never, ever, you know, our attorney's like, nothing's going to happen to you. Like, you've changed your life. Like, so 5 days before his sentencing, I took a hard money loan against my entire life, basically. The business, the house, everything. Because we were in the middle of selling our company for 20 million. We had a signed LOI. We were in due diligence. The investors knew about the first press release that came out showing Mike, you know, they knew the story of that. So we took a hard money loan thinking we're in the middle of due diligence. This is going to close. We're going to get 20 whatever million. So the day of sentencing, and mind you, I walk around at like 145. I was like 116 pounds. I was so stressed out. You know, there's people that when they're stressed, they eat, and there's when they're stressed, people literally thought like I was on meth, and no one knew. No one knew anything. So the day of sentencing, our attorney just flops. I don't even know what he said. He said maybe 3 sentences. He didn't object to anything. He didn't make sure they watched the video. My pastor was there because our pastors are really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And he went up, he talked to the judge. I talked to the judge, like talking about just Mike's life changes. He got his purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Like he's made all these great, he didn't care. The judge looked at me and said, you guys are fortunate and privileged to have money. And most people aren't in situations like this. And he sentenced him to 6.5 years. First time nonviolent offender.
Wow.
Out paying taxes, voting, 8.5 years.
And restitution was paid in full.
And restitution was paid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he gets sent to federal prison.
Yep. He had 4 months to surrender. During that time, we were in such denial, we didn't prepare. We were trying to get Mike his shoulder surgery because he has a messed up shoulder. And we thought for sure the judge would at least give us another 30 days. And at the last minute, he denied it. So we had less than 24 hours to tell our kids and send him to California.
Did you go with him to California?
Yeah. Our pastors actually took us.
Wow.
Yeah. We had to tell the kids, which was absolutely gut-wrenching. My kids were 4 and 6. We had our therapist come over. Everything was so rushed and we're so stupid. Like, how do we not prepare? I didn't learn any of the business that my husband did. I haven't logged into our bank account. Like, we have 160 employees. Yeah, it was awful.
Okay. I have a question. So going back a little bit, you took a hard money loan against the business. You had done about $15 million during COVID.
Where's the money?
What's that?
Why did we take a hard money loan?
Yeah, why'd you take a hard money loan?
So we did 15 million in sales for sure, but then obviously like your
overhead.
profit, overhead, all of that.
Yeah, of course.
And then obviously getting into like the finances, we were paying people way too much money.
Yeah.
But we had some money to put towards that, but we were like, we're going to get that money back with the sale with the investors. Like we don't want to completely, So like we're good. We felt so confident in it. So that's why we did it.
And then they see the article and pull back and don't end up going through with it.
So they see 12 million now because it's joint and several. So anybody who reads the press release is like, dude, what a piece of crap. He's like getting all this money from elderly people and it's $12 million. Like, what a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it was combined, you said. It was aggregated across all the different offices that were doing it.
Yep.
So he goes away. You now are trying to keep your head above water with the business and learn his part of the business, managing 160 employees with your husband now away in prison, and you have 2 kids at home.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was awful. And I also had a hard money loan I had to pay back.
Yeah.
And I had 2 months to pay it back.
No way.
Yeah, 2 months. And it was a 37.5% interest rate. I had to file an extension, which cost me $175,000. I was in the middle of another company, investors that were like going to save the day. They were in Vegas. They were looking at the salons. They were in the books. They were doing their due diligence. And they were even in talks with the people that I had owed the money to. And the day we were supposed to fund, they backed out. They said they couldn't get the capital. So I was in serious default. And I can't say very much, but I lost some stuff. Yeah. I'm so grateful for the things. Here's the thing, like, I lost some stuff, but I'm so grateful for whatever I was able to keep, like my house, like the stability of my kids. So I'm grateful because any other investor would have taken me to the cleaners and taken everything. Yeah.
Now, you weren't part of what your husband did prior to 2012.
No.
Yeah, no. So you are now in this position almost again, right? This is the second time you're now in this position, but you're alone and your husband's away.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any hatred, like maybe towards God or like, why put me in this position again?
Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? Because again, you weren't part of that, what had happened to send him to prison.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember getting home from California and walking into this house and I'm like, I literally felt like I was dead. I was like having an outer body experience. I was so physically sick from it. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It was a Friday. So, you know, my kids, like when the therapist told my kids, like Oliviana, she like grabbed a piece of paper. She was like taping Q-tips and floss to it. Like, oh my God, so awful. I know it's so awful. I can't even because I'll ugly cry. But my kids are so broken because my kids, like we are like this Brady Bunch family. Like we did everything together. Like my kids, like the best dad ever. And here I'm like having to fill. I just can't even explain it.
Yeah.
I would just wake up and be like, God, get into my head before I do. Because your mind will go crazy.
Let me ask you a question. This is a hard question. If your kids weren't there, do you think you would still be here today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the resilience is like off the charts.
Yeah.
And your ability to push forward, fight through the fear. We were talking about fear before we went live here.
Yeah.
Fear is very common in life. And, you know, whether you're going through a relationship breakup or, you know, you get fired from your job or your job tells you you have to move back to New York or you go and bet on yourself. Like fear happens all the time. And a lot of people don't necessarily have the tools in place to handle that fear.
Yeah.
What has walking through fear and you taking it head on done for you?
I think that I think it stemmed from early ages, you know, from like coming from a broken family and having a lot of trauma. And it's like, you have like choices in life, right? So you're going to what? You're going to marinate in a place that's awful. You're going to marinate in the trenches and just let all of that negativity and the situation control you. Like at that point, Mike and I had so much responsibility. Like you have kids, you know, and I always think about my kids watch me do everything. Like they've watched me through this whole situation, you know, and I need them to know that they're going to face adversity and to at least attempt to do it with grace and patience and love. And for me to stay silent for 2 years is unbelievable because all of this, like it didn't even stop with surrendering. Like surrendering my husband was one thing, but the shit that I got after that, it was like demonic attack after demonic attack. My nanny was stealing thousands of dollars from me. She was even using his Starbucks card because she had like a screenshot and it was on auto reload. She was getting coffee for like 6 months. I caught her on camera stealing all my Salon drops. I had people that I've known for decades sue me because I employed them and they were pulling some shit. Some of my family members, very immediate family members, just rubbed my face in the dirt while I was down. The press release was awful. And people don't realize when you get in legal trouble, like you're not just like, sure, you do your time and you do this, but the press releases live forever. It's awful. And so walking into even my own place of business and having people scatter and just gossiping, you know?
Yeah.
So rough.
Yeah. So you went through a lot.
Yeah.
Where are you at today?
Well, I'm breathing. I'm living. I'm surviving. I do it a day at a time. This is like the first time I do see light at the end of the tunnel. I was going to say when my husband surrendered, he was in California. And I went every single week to visit him. Every single week. And I know people are like, oh, you're just privileged that you can do that. And it's like, well, no, we all have choices. I work my ass into the ground, you know what I mean, to make sure I could get that plane ticket in that hotel room. And it's so important that like your kids are still in communication because my kids go with me all the time to see him. You know what I mean? The first time was a little rocky, especially for my daughter, Olive. She's so intuitive and she's so sensitive. And so to see her dad like in olive green khakis and his glasses on, it was really hard for her. But it's important that they still have that relationship.
Yeah. How is their relationship with their father now? It's
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was in California. He surrendered there. Obviously with programming and stuff like that, you can reduce your sentence. He was eligible for RDAP. So he had to transfer all the way to South Dakota. Mm-hmm. So you transfer in like cages and shackles, and then you stop at medium security prisons. So he was in like Victorville. So he got a taste of what a medium security prison. I mean, I think he joined a gang. I don't know. It was awful. He was on lockdown. Like it was that was probably the worst part of his stay away was going through. I mean, he was 8 weeks in transit. It was awful. Like not being able to talk to him for days, not knowing. Yeah.
Do you guys talk every day?
Oh yeah. I mean, the BOP is like a pile of shit, honestly. Like you probably don't want to air that.
No,
I don't care.
You're good.
I mean, listen, it's such a mess. They used to give 500 minutes, which boils down to like 15 minutes a day you can talk to your loved one. There's 2-hour emails, but they're the lag time. It's a 2-hour lag time email. Now, because of just like the budget cuts and everything, it's 300 minutes. So we get 9 minutes a day to keep our family together. It's a joke. Like, it's such a joke. Like, do you ever watch that show Undercover Boss?
No.
No?
I've seen it.
Oh,
I don't watch
I don't even
it
know
regularly.
if it's still on. But
I've seen it.
Yeah. So it's like these owners who disguise themselves. And
Yeah,
they go
of course.
into their own business, right?
Yeah.
That's what the BOP needs. You know what I mean? Like they keep like having these directors come in. You need someone to disguise themselves, go into like a BOP camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which camps are supposed to be cakewalks. Have them go into a camp and see what it's really like. Like the lack of food, the lack of heat, the lack of AC, the lack of water, the lack of nutrition. Like these people aren't on death row. You still have to keep them alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the roller coaster of all the policy changes that they end up like rescinding. It's like such a joke.
I empathize with you.
Yeah.
A lot of viewers are not going to empathize with you.
No.
With what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
What do you have to say then to those viewers who are like, well, no, he committed a crime and F him. He deserves to stay in there. And like whether he stays in touch with his family or not is what he should have been thinking about when he committed the crime.
Yeah. I mean, and I hear that all the time. They're like, I had one ex-employee say, what wasn't he thinking about his kids? And I'm like, it was over a damn decade ago. He didn't have kids.
He was younger,
you know what I mean?
and yeah.
But I think with like the system is they just group everyone as a criminal. Like you're just a piece of shit. I don't care if you're in there for a white collar or raping a 5-year-old. You're a piece of shit and you belong there.
Yeah.
I would say it's safe to say that probably 30% of people incarcerated, because we have one of the highest incarceration rates, don't belong there. Mm-hmm. They were given a lengthy sentence where they shouldn't have had that. They either didn't do it. I mean, you hear about those stories all the time where people are sentenced and they were innocent.
Yeah, of course.
Also, like the First Step Act, they're not even implementing that. That was in 2018. Mm-hmm. I think the past director said it was human error. Oh, okay. Like my 8-year-old could probably figure that out, or ChatGPT or something. Like I don't understand it. It's in the BOP like workbook, like on how to calculate it. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. I think the new director needs to go in. They can transfer to like a medium security prison and see what it's like. And then I think that them getting their, feet dirty with all that, they'll be able to implement things that need to be implemented. I mean, black mold, cockroaches, like just all of the disgusting stuff. Like there's still policies and procedures and laws that the BOP has to uphold.
Yeah. So my ex is from Finland. I was telling you a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And I like really did a lot of research on like Finnish prisons. Yeah. And Scandinavian prisons. Mm-hmm. And they're all about rehabilitation. Yeah. And the repeat offender rate is the lowest in the world. Yeah. And like these are people who've even committed murder. I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's around like 7.5 years for murder. Yeah. And then they give you a new identity when you get out. Wow. So you could restart, because a lot of people, when they get out, someone sees, okay, you were in prison, I'm not hiring you. And then a lot of people, if they were dealing drugs before, committing fraud, they go back to what they know, what they're comfortable. We're human. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You go back to what was taught to you and what you're good at. And you're willing to take that risk because you now need to, let's say if you have a family, when you come out, support your family. Yeah. Support yourself. Yeah. And I will come to your aid now and stop, talking for the people. But I interviewed a warden of a prison, and this guy was implementing the Scandinavian rehabilitation measures that they were taking in those countries to his prison in Tennessee. He has the lowest repeat offender rate in all of US. Yeah. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think his was 34%. The average is in the 70s. Yeah. That's crazy. It was less than half. Yeah. It was insane.
It's crazy.
And it's like, he's not like, this isn't just an this warden is just like, his prison's a lucky prison and they're just not. No, like, it works.
Yeah.
And to go back to what you were saying, you give someone the ability to, from 9 minutes to 15 minutes a day, those extra 6 minutes, and implementing what they're supposed to be getting to help them rehabilitate. Because also the family is the people that are going to support them when they get out.
Yeah.
You get out of prison, you have a family supporting you. And this is just one of many things that we should be implementing to prisoners to rehabilitate them. You give them a loving family that they were able to continuously stay in contact with and grow the family nest with while they were locked away.
Yeah.
It's going to increase the odds of them successfully rehabilitating and acclimating back into the real world when they get out.
Right. And then also, like, if they have children, what they have watched, history can repeat itself sometime. So it's like, I just, the whole thing, it just boggles my mind. And I hope that there's more action. I know they just appointed a new BOP. Actions speak louder than words. So we'll see. Hopefully the First Step Act gets implemented. You know what I mean? But yeah, even with COVID, they sent thousands and thousands home with the CARES Act. And there was like a 1% that actually reoffended. That's insane.
It was 1%?
1% reoffended.
I didn't know that.
Yes. It's so insane.
Wow.
So yeah. And it's like, just, someone who knows what they're doing. I was watching like an interview with a prior BOP director, and they were asking this person questions. And it's like, how is this person running 120 whatever? Like, you for sure need like Google Maps to get from your mailbox to your front door because you know nothing. Like, she knew nothing. She could not, you can't even phone a friend. She knew nothing. And I'm like, why wonder? It led the way it's led. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm all about reform, and sending people. Like, my husband surrendered to where he did, but they didn't have the programming. So then he has to go. I mean, you're supposed to be 500 miles from your family. Thankfully, I mean, now
fucked up.
It's so fucked up. My husband is in South Dakota, but I've had to work extra hard so I can travel every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it's so important for both of us. Like, he doesn't need just like my support. I need him.
Yeah.
And 9 minutes a day is not going to cut it.
Yeah.
So
my podcast is all about resilience and adversity, facing adversity, getting through it. And, I do want to say another thing to like viewers who are, not showing empathy potentially. Not saying everyone is, but you weren't part of this.
No.
You met him after it had happened. And I want to commend you because we also follow one another on socials, and like the amount of support you have for him.
Yeah.
Like you post videos and like collages of you guys together as a family. It's truly admirable.
Yeah.
And how you've stuck by him this entire time, going through this since month 2. And they don't make them like you.
Yeah.
Very often.
Thank you.
And I commend you on, just your willingness and fighting through fear and power just to move on.
Yeah.
How is your business doing today?
Well, there's been a lot of things that have changed with the business due to the situation. I'm still grateful. I had another business. So I have like a dry bar. It's called Sassy Boutique. And then I just started doing hair extensions. So I actually opened my second location while Mike was in, which was horrible because it was like my first time getting like construction bids, and like I've had to do so much without him. I'm like, and he's like my binky. He gives me guidance and everything.
Yeah,
like I've had to do a merger with the business. I've had to do a refinance, all this stuff. And plus like health scares, all of this without him. But the business, I kind of feel like I'm starting over in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still like the Lash company all day, but some things have changed. So I am kind of starting over in a sense, even though I've had the business for like 5.5 years. But I think that God has now put me in this position where it's like really good because I'm stepping into this. I'm grateful that I was able to fall back on another business. And so I work every day. I'm a workaholic. So I'm just grateful.
Well, one thing that I do want to point out too, just for like entrepreneurs and like you talked about applying what you learned in the Lash business. I don't recall exactly what it was. I think to you selling products and it was successful, but something a good business owner is able to do is scale something. If you can scale it and you can take a blueprint and apply it to most industries, you know, not every industry it'll work.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're now taking all of this knowledge and this blueprint that you built and you're scaling it to other industries and other, you know, subdivisions, let's just call it, of your business is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Mike, your husband helped with XYZ when he was around, and now you're learning to do it. You're still doing it.
Yeah.
It's hectic as hell, but you're doing it.
Yeah. I think once you start something, you've got to, you know, we've built up so much of a responsibility to people too. Like, you know, Mike and I have always been huge on taking care of the people that work for us because we all work together. Like we're always in the trenches with them. You know what I mean? And so I remember specifically that was one thing Mike said. He's like, listen, no pressure, but like we've got to maintain, we have to take care of like the people. And so I think, you know, just with that, and then I'm the only one right now, you know, I'm supporting everything. And so I'm just grateful that I have these opportunities because I know that there's not like I'm an empath. So I feel bad for anyone who's in a position like this and they don't have anything to fall back on, you know, and they can't travel to see their loved one. And so I'm just really, really grateful. Well,
you kind of were put back in that position in 2023 with the, you know, the hard money loan, you have to pay it, 37% interest rate, like ridiculous. And no, there are no excuses for people out there. And I personally do not feel bad if someone, you know, doesn't have you can find a way to make it work. If you believe in something and you have a dream, you will find a way to make it work.
Yeah,
I get it. Like some of us have some resources, but like you were in 2012, 2013, 2014, when you guys were together, you guys were back living with his parents on a blow up mattress.
Yeah.
And you made it work.
Yeah.
Because you believed.
In God.
What are other tools other than God that you implement today to help you keep going?
I think on the financial side is like, I've always acted like I was poor, you know? So I've always shopped at like Ross and Goodwill and stuff like that. When everything went down with Mike, I just got rid of things that we didn't need. I'm like, we don't need 3 cars. We don't need like the house I did want to stay in because we built up equity, but also the stability of my kids. They had already been through so much.
That's their nest.
Yeah. And that's where we're always at our house. And then their school. They do go to a private school, but the security reasons I wanted to keep that. But everything else, like, I mean, I got rid of everything. I sold his Rolex. I literally have an Amazon ring right now because I lost my wedding ring a week ago in a tanning place. But I'm like, I'm kind of down with this. Like it looks a lot better than my other one, but like,
I can't believe you just shared that on air. Good for you.
Yeah, I don't care.
You don't give a shit.
I don't care. Like if somebody, I'm the type of person, I remember when I surrendered my kids and I were at Starbucks, I was like just beaten to death by life. And we're waiting for a coffee and this elderly guy came up in his 70s and he's like, I have a free reward. Can I get you a chocolate chip cookie? And I bawled my eyes out. Like when people do kind things like that to me or say things or just show kindness, I lose it. Because I honestly don't get it that much. You know what I mean? Like I will take someone giving me a compliment over a Louis purse any day, which I've never had a real purse, by the way. I just will not do that.
For the record.
Yeah, no. I mean, I grew up in a studio, you know, I could go back to that. If it wasn't for the stability of my kids, I'd be in a 1-bedroom driving a Prius. Like I'm totally fine with that. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So I think financially just stripping things down and make it work, you know?
Yeah.
And then besides God, I mean, my husband, he's such a support. Like, I know we're limited on everything, but he's my human medicine. I always say that. Like, he supports me, like with the business too. He's like, you should do this, you should do that. And then I lost a lot of people during this, you know, and our circle got a lot smaller, but there's so much more when it's quality over quantity. And so we had like just people show up, like from my church, especially like Claudia and my dad. Oh my gosh, he texts me like every day. he's the only one who's texting me every day. Like, what do you need? How are you? I'll fly there if I need to. Like, so people have stepped up and that's been enough.
It's amazing. So it sounds like you also have a community around you.
Yeah.
Community is so important when you're going through anything in life, whether it's addiction, just facing adversity, fear. When you have a community around you, it's amazing. I just went through a breakup 3 days ago.
I know.
And I like alerted the crew, family, and I get like 10 calls a day. It's amazing. People just, checking in just to make sure.
Yeah.
And like it's very small potatoes compared to what you've been through. But it's like having that community around you is so important because doing anything, and I really felt this during when I first got sober and clean in 2018. I thought I was alone and I was so scared. And the amount of people in the meetings that I go to that were just, there to help out. You talked about when your husband got clean for the first time and you labeled it a psychopath. When you were like, just tell me if you want to use or you get an urge or like, I'm here. Like that actually is, I mean, in some cases it could be detrimental to some addicts and alcoholics and people need to let go. But in your case, like you guys were fresh and I had 20 days sober and clean. And I was walking out of my building I was married at the time with my wife. And I said to my wife, hey, I want to get high right now. If we walk out the door, we were living in New York City. Like if we walk out of our building, I'm going to find a way to manipulate you and get away and go get high. Yeah. And she goes, okay, we're not leaving. What are you taught to do? And I was like, call my sponsor. She's like, call your sponsor. It was Sunday at like 6 p.m. My sponsor leaves dinner with his family, Sunday dinner, comes, relieves my wife, sits at Starbucks with me until 9 o'clock. Hey, is the urge gone yet? No, it's not. Okay, we're going to the diner. Sat with me till like 1 a.m.
That's amazing.
And then he made me, I wanted to go to a meeting, but like he made sure I was at a meeting every single day that week. Yeah. And put my hand up and talked about my experience so that it could help someone else who was going through the same thing. Yeah. And like the kindness and like him not wanting anything in return. Yeah. Like just blew me away. Yeah. And that was because I had a community in place and I wasn't alone. Yeah. So that's important. Amazing. It's so important. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you. Yeah. I want to thank you. I told my husband, I'm like, babe, I slid into this guy's DMs on TikTok. Like I was asking, God's been telling me to tell this story for like a year. And I was like, God, just please give me a sign like a week before. I'm like, God, give me a sign. I feel like you're putting me in chokehold. Like I'm just going to spill the beans because no one knows about this, right? Like nobody knows. Even the closest people to us have no idea. And so I'm really letting it out here. And then I was watching one of your TikToks, the girl with the black hair, really pretty. She was talking about, anyways, the feds showing up to her office. I'm like, oh, this is my home. This is where I need to drop it. Yeah, and Dr. Linda.
Yes. Yes. And then I slid into your DM. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I'm so grateful I was able to come. Yeah. And I'm going to see my husband on the way home. So. No, that is amazing. He's in South Dakota? He's in South Dakota. Now, since he's been there, obviously you've seen him in South Dakota. Is that the first time you went to South Dakota to visit him? No, I went. Been there? Yeah, I've gone ever since. I was on the visiting list. And the one thing about my husband I did want to say is I have people text me and they were like, hey, I just want you to know that like your husband led me to God. Wow. Like he's preaching in there. He is doing business courses so people don't relapse into their old ways. He's teaching them e-com. And so when I get frustrated, like at night when I'm in my own thoughts, which is dangerous, I'm like, you know what? Sometimes in life when we go through trauma and we go through like really hard times where we're like, God, that sucked. That person screwed me over, or like that didn't work out. I'm like, you know what? Maybe that person just needed you. Like, obviously my husband's learned a lot and he did commit a crime, right? I don't think what he was given is appropriate, but I know what he's doing for others. So I think of it like people need him right now. Yeah. And so if I have to give him up for a little bit so he's changing lives of other people, then I'm okay with that. That's amazing. Yeah. And actually, there is one more thing I do want to highlight. He paid back his restitution. He paid back the $3 million. The $500,000 left over was all the stuff that they had seized from his account, but they did it joint and several. So he is on the hook for $12 million. Yeah. Oh, he's still on the hook. It doesn't matter. Yep. Oh. And they knew that he would be able to pay that. He was the only one. He was the last one sentenced, and he was the only one who had money. Wow. So he was the
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he paid his portion.
Yes.
He can live with that because a lot of people go and don't pay.
Yeah.
Restitute or pay like $1 a month.
Yeah.
I think Matt Cox, who's like he's like publicly admitted that he hasn't paid his restitution.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's insane. I had appealed our case. I took it to the 9th Circuit. I did en banc, and now I'm doing a 2255. And my attorney stated in there that there's like $900 billion in restitution outstanding because no one pays it.
How about holding people accountable of their restitution?
Yeah,
that's what they should be worried about.
Yeah.
Not how many minutes they're able to, not call their family members. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course.